1983, U.S. Army intelligence didn't just investigate the supernatural. They seemingly reverse-engineered the server architecture of reality. A declassified report by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonnell suggests that astral projection isn't a mystical experience. It is a repeatable privilege escalation exploit used to access the operating system of the universe. Let's get the definition straight immediately. The gateway process wasn't a yoga retreat for bored officers. The objective here wasn't relaxation. It was a technical override of biological limitations. If you read the documentation, the Army wasn't looking for enlightenment. They were looking for a backdoor. They wanted to know if a human operator could bypass the firewall of the physical body and execute commands directly on the host server. Now, you have to understand the difference between standard hypnosis and what they were building here. Hypnosis? That's user-level access. You're changing the desktop background, maybe moving some icons around. It's a screensaver. The gateway process is root-level access. It's booting into the BIOS. It is about disengaging the consciousness from the sensory input loop, basically unplugging the keyboard and mouse, so you can input code directly into the terminal. How do you do that without dying? You need a decryption key. The report calls it the frequency following response, or FFR. They used Hemi-Sync audio signals to force the left and right hemispheres of the brain to operate at the same frequency. Normally, your brain is a chaotic lamp, scattering energy everywhere. But under FFR, it becomes a laser. And once that signal is coherent, it can synchronize with the frequency of the external environment. You aren't just thinking anymore. You're establishing a peer-to-peer connection with the network. Here is where the physics gets heavy. The report argues that the solid world, this table, your hand, the screen you're watching, is actually a complex hologram. It's just rendered light. Matter is just energy vibrating at a low enough frequency to appear solid. It's the interference pattern. Basically, your brain is a decoder. It takes the raw data stream of the universe and renders it into a 3D interface you can interact with. But the Army realized something. If you tweak the decoder, you stop seeing the interface, and you start seeing the code. This brings us to the metaphysical turn. The report talks about the absolute. Now, don't think of a guy with a beard on a cloud. Think of the CPU, the infinite energy field where the simulation runs. The Army concluded that by synchronizing your hemispheres, you could click out. That is their literal term. You click out of the render distance of time-space. You essentially no-clip through the floor of reality and enter the source code itself. You are no longer a user in the game. You are browsing the file directory of the primary source. So how did they execute the code? They broke it down into specific command prompts called focus levels. Focus 10. Body asleep, mind awake. This is hardware suspend mode. You shut down the physical drivers. Focus 12. Expanded awareness. You establish a network connection beyond the immediate perimeter. Focus 15. No time. This is the big one. You access the file system. Past, present, and future are just data folders you can browse simultaneously because you've removed the variable of time from the search parameters. But here's the warning. And it's the logical conclusion of the entire protocol. If you manage to hack the simulation, you become responsible for the data you change. The report implies that what we call manifesting isn't magic. It's just editing the code. But if you edit the code without understanding the dependencies, you risk corruption. When you access the admin panel, you better know exactly what commands you're typing. Because in this system, there is no undo button.